I used to think I was lazy. I'd sit there knowing exactly what to do, but it felt physically impossible to actually start. What I didn't realize was my motivation wasn't gone, it was spent. You're not lazy, your brain is just tired. Every time you scroll, you spend the same chemical you need for taking action. That's why starting the gym, studying, or working feels impossible. In this video, I'll show you how to get your motivation back. The chemical I mentioned was dopamine. Dopamine is the thing that gets you to do stuff, that gives you motivation. And there are two ways how to use the dopamine. The first one is to just spend it. Spend it on those high stimulation things like social media, eating junk food, watching porn, all that stuff. It's just spending your dopamine, giving it away for a cheap source. And the second way how to use the dopamine is to actually use it, for something in the real world. Because dopamine is there to get the reward, to seek the reward. Like if you think back to the caveman days, dopamine got us to seek food, to go out hunting, gathering, and all that stuff. And it still does the same thing. It's just a question if you search the reward that doesn't take any effort, like with social media, all this reward of stimulation, or junk food, which is also really stimulating and just gets you the reward without any effort? Or do you use the dopamine for something that actually takes a bit of effort and is really worthwhile? For example, if you want to get a good physique, then of course this takes effort, like a few times going to the gym a few times a week and doing that for 2 years or even longer, probably even longer. It's both dopamine. In both cases, it's there to get the reward, but in one case, there's no effort involved. And in the other case, the dopamine actually gets you to do the hard stuff, to get the reward afterwards. But how do we actually fix this problem of overstimulation and get back our motivation to do the small things and actually do the hard stuff? It's by giving your brain silence. Your brain needs silence again. Because we are so used to getting stimulated all the time. Every 3 minutes we can go on our phone and just get stimulated and get input. Now it's time to decrease that stuff again, to get our dopamine and motivation back to actually work on the stuff that's worthwhile. Now in this video I'm going to talk about social media because that had the biggest impact on my life, but also stuff to think about is, for example, junk food, if you use that pretty often, or also porn. Because porn is, for example, also something that it completely fucks up your dopamine. And of course, there are also so many other bad side effects. And yeah, there's also much good advice out there. You can look at that. But now in this video, I'm going to talk about social media and decreasing your screen time in general. So how do we actually decrease our screen time now? First, it's by making your phone boring. How do we do that? For example, one thing would be turning off notifications. Of course, that's some basic advice you probably already heard, but if you haven't done it already, that's the advice you need. Because turning off notifications is one of the highest ROI tasks in general, I would say. So the return on invest is crazy here. Like 2 minutes of invested time for turning off the notifications on Instagram, TikTok, I would even say Snapchat, and of course YouTube. 2 minutes of invested time. And it instantly decreases your screen time and gives you back hours in the future. And if you think long term, probably even days of wasted time. So it's really just a no-brainer. And if you haven't done it already, then do it right now. Because at the end of the day, watching this video and not changing anything won't change anything. So it's just about taking action, even if it's those small steps, just taking this initial action and actually changing something. Another thing, how you can make your phone more boring is, for example, by getting those apps away from the home screen. So if you open your phone and the first thing you see are the Instagram, TikTok and Snapchat icon, that's not optimal, because then of course it's obvious to just click on them and use those apps. So just remove those apps from the home screen, get them somewhere else and make it less obvious for you to use those apps and get a bit more friction in. And another way how you can get more friction into using those apps would be, for example, through an app like OneSec. It's this thing that gets more friction into opening those apps. So if you open those apps and you installed OneSec and did all this stuff that it works, then it just delays opening the app, gives you more awareness, shows you, okay, I'm using the app again. You get more aware of it and can really decide, okay, do I actually need to use the app? Do I actually want to use it right now? Or do I just want to numb my thoughts right now? So with these 3 things, you can make your phone more boring. And if you just do these 3 things, or even just 1 or 2 things of them, I guarantee you your screen time will get lower. Another thing you can do is setting yourself rules. For example, just not taking your phone to bed with you. It's also, of course, it's basic advice. But if you don't do it right now, then that's the advice you need. I can't say it enough. It's just actually doing this stuff you already heard. So not taking the phone to bed with you is also really efficient. Like, it's this one rule, this one behavior, this one habit you do. On one hand, it keeps you from scrolling late into the night. That's a positive. And on the other hand, if you wake up, taking your phone is not the first thing you do. So it's really efficient. And another thing you can think about is not using your phone or not using social media between stuff. So, for example, if you come from work and then have your scrolling session and then go to the gym, just don't scroll between those 2 things. Or if you're on the toilet and are scrolling, just don't do this stuff. And then you get the ability to endure those low dopamine states, and your dopamine baseline, so your base motivation, rises slowly but surely again. And of course, one thing, using your phone or scrolling in the morning, that's a no-go, because that fucks up your dopamine early in the morning and sets your whole day up to be less motivated and just harder for you. All this stuff is about taking action. If you just do those things, I guarantee you your screen time will lower and your dopamine baseline will get a bit higher, and just doing all this day-to-day stuff and also the hard stuff will become easier. And I hope you take action on this video, because at the end of the day, the thing that will change something is just you taking action. It's not knowing this information. I mean, more or less, it's obvious, not taking your phone to bed with you and so on. But the thing that will change something is you taking action on this advice. And it doesn't have to be, you don't have to implement all those things. It's just taking the next step. So if you still have notifications on, then that's your first step, just turning them off. Or if you already turned them off, then installing this app like OneSec, getting more friction into using those apps. And if you have done that already, then set yourself the rule, I don't take my phone to bed with me. Just doing the next step. That's the thing that will change something. And if you want to know why your motivation went away in the first place, you can also watch this video right here. So I hope you take action, and then bye.